The building of a ground-up home is really an individual expression that is a partnership between your architect and you. The approach can be so central to the success or failure, quite frankly, of one of these projects. So let me just briefly touch on the design-build process and the way that we apply that to our projects. So we start out with what's called pre-design. That's just kind of getting to know one another, getting to know if our process works with your project. And then we start putting together a conceptual design study. We're trying to figure out the big picture. We're solving the parameters. We're looking at lot coverage. We're looking at all the jurisdictional parameters. We're looking at your wants and needs. We're putting together estimates. And then once we've got the conceptual design worked out, we move to design development.
Design development is basically taking the sketches that we started with in the conceptual design part and turning them into drawings that serve two purposes really. One is to get the city approvals we need, the building permit, planning approval, and the second thing is it's the blueprints, the instructions on how to actually build the project that Troy would use, for example. So everything, the exterior finishes, how beams are shaped and connected, structural drawings, energy calculations, all of the interiors. We fully detail all the cabinets and whatnot inside so that we know, this drawer is going to have this. We're using this hardware. All the specifications are part of the design development drawings.
When you're building something as complex that we're looking at right now, all the details and the time spent with Alan and the clients that are putting all their wants, their needs, together, things can get missed if it's not put together properly by someone like Alan. And a full scope and a plan on where everything goes is of the utmost importance for something to this scale.
As an architect, having construction in-house is invaluable, particularly in building something as complex as this. If I need to work out a detail on a beam, or a connection, I can go to Troy and say, hey, how would you build this? Which is why I really love working for a design build company.
Yeah, and then the other aspect of design development that is such a helpful tool is the interior design side of things. So in the interior design, we're really honing in on all those details in terms of choosing tile and countertops and flooring materials and all that. Because once we're in construction, if we've made all those selections prior to construction, and that's where one of our team members, we have some really talented interior designers that are in-house that we work with, and they're looking at things from both an architectural perspective. So they want an interior that reflects our clients, our homeowners, but also reflects the architecture that we're working with. It's not just in a bubble that these decisions are being made. And it ends up becoming such an important part of the project ultimately.
As we continue to go along our process, our clients never lose a teammate. What we do is we continue to gain teammates, and as a project manager comes on for construction, that's an additional teammate that you gain for that construction. And so in these weekly meetings that we have with our clients, where we talk about everything from schedule to budgets to how the project's going, how exciting the next few weeks will go, and just make sure that everyone is absolutely aware of every element to that job as it comes about. During these weekly meetings, there's a couple key meetings that I like to point out. We actually go through the space, a kitchen, a bathroom, library, whatever it may be, and we talk about these cabinets in great detail, walk through the space and making it tailored specifically to you. We also do a plumbing meeting that's very similar and an electrical meeting that is also similar. It's an opportunity to walk through the physical space and make sure that it absolutely is tailored to you. And then last but not least on here, project completion is just that. At the end of the project, we all want to get together not only to celebrate the project, but to make sure that we did and fulfilled our contract with you.
We've created these tools over these years, and they've served our clients really well. Now we're going to start talking about the English Road project.
There was nothing up there. There wasn't electricity. There was not water, sewer, gas, or anything. And that's something that we had to bring in, and including a 65-foot bridge that went over the creek that was down below off of the main road that comes up to their property.
This is a very complex house to build. A number of architects in the office worked on this, getting all the details right, the roof particularly. But that adds a lot of interest to the house, and it's a wonderful composition. One of the great things about doing a ground up project as an architect is we get to site the house, position it properly on the site, even design some of the landscape and hardscape.
It really responds well to the site, and that's what great architecture does, right? It takes in not just the wants and needs of the owner, but it responds to that site. And so this house just opens up before you on the site, and it reflects some of the surrounding countryside. There's these arches that kind of feel a little bit like the hills, and it's subliminal, but there's a power in that. And these massive volumes just give the house such a presence. There's little details all over where you're seeing these different materials coming together, the natural stone, the yellow cedar, the iron, the steel windows. And even though we have all these different materials, they come together in such a pleasing way and create this really unique natural palette.
Something I would like to mention on this particular view right here, you can see how vast this is when you start looking up to the ceiling up on the second floor and realize from the second floor how tall those ceilings are and how far they are out of reach. The structural steel that went into this place was just phenomenal, to allow these big, open, vast spaces like that. So without the architecture, without the drawings, without someone coming through and designing this and building this, I think you could miss all of this stuff.
There's a blank sheet of white paper staring at you at the beginning of this process. But, in the end, we come up with something that's, pure, creative, and something that's custom designed for you.